All right, the next place we want to talk about is also one cool place, and this has some of the coolest ruins in the whole earth. This is Teotihuacan, which is an Aztec name, but it's an Aztec name that they gave it. They called it the place of the creation of the gods. And it was built around 100 BC, or BCE technically. Now, it was mostly in prominence between about 350 and 650 CE. So that was when it was at its strongest, and then it fell away. But you remember, the Aztecs didn't come around until about the 1400s. And this is very close to where the Aztecs. Remember, the Aztecs are in Mexico City. This is just outside Mexico City. In fact, Mexico City is getting so large it's encroaching on this place here. So it's just outside Mexico City. It's at a latitude of 19 degrees north. You see it right here. This is Mexico City, the suburbs of Mexico City. In fact, they had to block and make laws and stuff because people were trying to build on this site, and it's an ancient archaeological site, and they were starting to ruin the site. So you had to say, oh, no more. Nobody can get any more closer to it. And then the same problem the pyramids were having in Egypt. Too many people getting too close to it. But you can see it. This is from a satellite picture right here. And this is it. So this is the way it is there are these pyramids. The Pyramid of the Moon, Pyramid of the Sun, and the Temple of Quetzalcoatl. Remember, Quetzalcoatl was the Aztecs' god Kukulkan of the Mayan. Same thing, their main god, okay? The main feathered serpent god. This is called the Avenue of Dead. Now, we got to be careful because this is the Pyramid of the Sun, this is the Pyramid of the Moon. Those are the names that the Aztecs gave that. This is Quetzalcoatl, can't see it very well. That's another Aztec god. So really, we don't know what the people that lived here and built this used this for. But we know it was spectacular, and it predates the Aztecs. Okay? It was around about the same time as the Mayan people. Okay? But the coolest parts are the temples. So if you look here, looking up here, or the pyramids, this is standing on the Pyramid of the Moon. So if I go back, we're standing up here, we're looking down the Avenue of the Dead, and the Pyramid of the Sun is going to be off here to our side. So this is what we're looking at. We'll look down here, this is here, off to here. Way back over in the distance, that's Mexico City. You can see way in the background. So it's really now in the suburbs of Mexico City. But you can see the elaborate work that was done here. All these probably had buildings or structures on top of each of these platforms to their different gods, different priests. We don't really know. But look at the elaborate stonework that they were doing at this time. The Pyramid of the Sun over there, in volume, is the largest pyramid of the earth. It's bigger in volume than the Great Pyramid of Cheops in Egypt. However, it's not as tall. You see the angle is much lower, so it's not nearly as tall as it is, but size-wise it's actually bigger. And many people forget about that there are pyramids that are just as big. I think this one's even cooler. This is what we call the Pyramid of the Moon, or the Temple of the Moon. Notice the angled sides they put in, those cut in like that. Instead of just making it smooth like the pyramids, they went for way more elaborate architecture when they were creating this pyramid. They do, as far as I know, I haven't been there, but I do think that they still allow you to climb up to the tops of both these if you want. Again, you have to be careful because the steps are smaller and not the same as they are in our standard society here. This is from the ground looking up to the top of the Pyramid of the Sun. You see, it is actually a pretty healthy climb to get to the top and back down again. It's not easy, but I think it's really cool, especially with all the structures, the different levels that they have here. Now, one of the things that some archaeologists have claimed is that this shape here, you see the shape with the bump there? That this shape was trying to match the background hill. And if you look at it, that would have been exactly the same silhouette they saw 1,000 years ago. Give or take, about 1,500 years ago. And so that's what they claim, is they were trying to match this with their shape on the ground. We don't know. They didn't leave us any written record. It's not like the Mayan people that left us written record. We don't really know these people. I mean, we have names of these people. Archaeologists have found people dating back to long time, 20,000 years. We know people have been living in the American continents. And back here, this goes all the way back into early BCE time, like in 1000 BCE, we see settlements way back that go way back before that. And this was around this time, there were people around. We had some of the people were called the Nahuas or the Tome or the Totonacs or the Oltecs. These were all groups of people that were in that area at the time. We don't know exactly who built this. Now there's been speculation about why they built it and why they built it at the weird angles. Okay. Here is a panorama looking from the top, and you can see here's the avenue, so that's the Pyramid of the Moon in the back. There's a really wide angle lens, which is why it's distorted, but you get the whole panorama view on it. You see this up here? This was added by modern people to restore it so that people could walk up here and not destroy it. They did not use stones in concrete like they have there. It's a place for people to walk on top of this. And let me go back here. So the astronomical alignments, we're going to go back to here. One of the things that everybody wonders about is why it was not a north-south line. Was it deliberately made at an angle? It was made at an angle of 15.5 degrees from being north and south, exactly. Which isn't unusual. For the Mayan people tend to have theirs angled off about anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees. So did the Aztecs in parts of it. So it wasn't unusual to have things off by this much. We don't know if that was significant or not. But one of the things that they talk about is if you look at the side of this pyramid, so this very large pyramid, the Pyramid of the Sun, right here, and they wonder, well, did that align with something there? So instead of the road, did the pyramid align with something? And if you do the calculations on that, you find that depending which way, if you go this way, looking this way, the sun would set along that when it had a declination of minus 14 degrees. Which, if you look it up in your book, puts it, it's actually minus 14.86 degrees, which puts you at February 9th and November 2nd. So the question was, is there anything significant about those dates to these people? Well, most people suggest that that's probably not significant because those dates don't really seem to correspond with anything else. But if you look the other way, so you're looking this way, then it's exact mirror image, and so instead that's when the sun would set when it has a positive angle of 14 degrees 51.7 minutes. And with that case, it sets on April 30th and August 13th. You say, well, why is that significant? Well, if you go from August 13th to April 30th, it's exactly 260 days. And the reason that's significant is, and we'll talk about this when we talk about Mayan calendars, is that the Mayans had a 260-day calendar. These people probably had a similar calendar at the same time. And so maybe this was a way to measure their 260-day calendar by looking at when the sun set along the edge of the Pyramid of the Sun. Okay? As far as we know, the Avenue of the Dead being off the 15 degrees doesn't really correspond to anything that we can see significant. Unless you buy into the fact that they were trying to make the pyramids line up and the valley line up with the mountains that were surrounding this place, which may or may not be true. There's no way to prove that. But this is a really cool site, and this is definitely one of the places that I need to go. All right, and that is the Teotihuacan, and just outside Mexico City. All right.